Xbox is celebrating a huge milestone, but are they just trying to distract us from the real problems? What's up guys, and welcome to Xbox Ready, the YouTube channel that's all about Xbox. In today's video, I'm going to be covering 5 things that I think are essential for you to know about if you're an Xbox fan. We'll be talking about another record that Xbox broke in January of this year, how the PlayStation 5 version of Hi-Fi Rush is somehow rated higher than the Xbox version, and some drama going on with the Xbox version of Final Fantasy XIV. And remember, if you want to stay Xbox Ready, make sure you subscribe to the channel and set your notifications to be alerted whenever I post a video. Let's discuss. So over the past couple of years, it's clear that Xbox is using different metrics to determine their success. They've stopped reporting console sale numbers and instead have been talking about, oh, how many players have played a certain game, tracking how many people are playing on PC. Oh, we have millions and millions of people playing through cloud, or like 10% of our gaming comes from whatever division or whatever device. And along that same kind of wavelength, Xbox has reported that January was one of their biggest months ever on Xbox consoles. In a write-up posted on the Xbox Wire talking about the ID at Xbox program, the second paragraph says, 2024 got off to a fast start with players this year. Xbox had its biggest month ever on console this past January, measured by playtime, including ID at Xbox program member Pocket Pair, whose Xbox game preview title Pal World has more than 10 million players on Xbox so far. So it seems that a lot of people spent a lot of time playing on Xbox consoles in January, thanks so much to the massive success of Pal World. And while that is kind of vague, they don't really mention any hard data. They sort of reference total playtime, but that's about it. I think the important thing to focus on here is that this is console specific, which is a massively important thing to signal to Microsoft and the people who make the decisions about their gaming division. As vague as this is showing that people like to play games on their Xbox console, which over the past couple of weeks, it seems that Microsoft and other video game leaders are starting to doubt. With the amount of time that Xbox leadership spends talking about the ecosystem, growing on PC, cloud, this new rumored Xbox handheld, it often feels like the console experience kind of takes a back seat. So hopefully they see this and they're like, wow, we had awesome engagement on console in the month of January. Let's see why that was and try to replicate that going forward. And I'll give you a clue. It has a little something to do with exclusive gaming experiences. I don't think it's a coincidence that January was the highest month ever in terms of console player engagement or total playtime or whatever, and there just so happened to be a game that launched in January that you can only play on Xbox and PC, not on PlayStation 5, not on Nintendo Switch. That game was Pal World, and yes, it's not a true Xbox exclusive. It played a huge role in having Xbox meet that metric for the month of January. And I know that this isn't what Xbox is about anymore. They're going to ship their games to other platforms. They're already doing it with Pentiment, Sea of Thieves, Hi-Fi Rush. We'll talk about that in a little bit. And while I don't personally mind Xbox shipping out former exclusives depending on what they are, I've said this once, I'll say it again, I'll say it till the day I die. As long as they want to sell people an Xbox console, they're gonna have to have some exclusives. The question is, can any of their upcoming exclusives like Hellblade 2, Indiana Jones, Avowed coming later this year, can they match that hype level, that engagement rate that Pal World had? Like Pal World fever was crazy, and I've personally fallen off of it because I was like, I just don't want to play this anymore. Speaking of former Xbox exclusives, just a couple of weeks ago, Xbox was making headlines because they were like, we're going to bring 4 of our games to Nintendo Switch and PlayStation 5. Those games turned out to be Pentiment, Sea of Thieves, Hi-Fi Rush, and what's the other one? Hi-Fi Rush and Grounded. There we go. It caused quite the stir, and a bunch of people are like, this is the beginning of the end for Xbox. The console wars are over, baby. They're throwing in the towel. Why buy an Xbox if you can play Hi-Fi Rush on PlayStation 5? We've been seeing a lot of interesting things coming out of this new multi-platform strategy from Xbox. I don't know if it's still up there, but at one point, Sea of Thieves was the most pre-ordered game on PlayStation, ahead of Rise of the Ronin and also Dragon's Dogma 2. And now the PlayStation 5 version of Hi-Fi Rush is experiencing something similar. I don't know what the sales numbers are like, but it's currently one of PlayStation 5's most highly rated games in 2024. Right now on Metacritic, the PS5 version of Hi-Fi Rush is a 91, whereas the Xbox version is an 87. I'm glad to see more people enjoying this game. the majority, I feel like, of the video game community, when this game came out back in 2023, if you were like a normal person, you were like, yeah, this game's pretty good. Very solid game. But there was a small minority of people, mostly PlayStation owners, that were like, this game, it's a cartoon comic book game, it's lame, it's like a stupid rhythm game, boo, and now it's scoring super, super well on the PlayStation 5. But the disparity between the two scores, 91 for the PlayStation version, 87 for the Xbox version, it is causing outrage, an uproar on Twitter. And I swear to God, this is why I hate this. It's stuff like this that makes me hate online discourse about video games, whether it's on Twitter or other forms of social media. It just doesn't make sense to me, man. Like, you're trying to tell me that there are grown men on Twitter, on other platforms, literally tweaking over a 4-point difference on Metacritic between these two versions. And it's happening on both sides too. Xbox dudes are like, this proves that the media has a bias against Xbox. This proves the existence of the Xbox tax. And then on the other side, PlayStation guys are like, this proves that PlayStation is the best place to play games, even Xbox games. Xbox players are nothing but beta testers. This has settled the debate once and for all. This has ended the console wars. And I'm just sitting there like, in disbelief. I can't fucking believe that people actually care about this. And I don't know why I'm getting so worked up over this. I don't know why this is like the straw that broke the camel's back. I mean, maybe because I was so interested to see what the difference is between the PlayStation version and the Xbox version. It's apparently so superior that I bought it on PlayStation 5, a game that I own on Xbox, played it through Game Pass. I bought it again, and I gotta tell you, it's the same thing. There is no noticeable difference in performance or resolution. I was going in thinking, oh, maybe there's like some cool stuff that they did with the DualSense, with the haptic feedback and the adaptive triggers. Nope, nothing like that. The only real difference that I can think of is that, well, it has like all the bonus game modes that they've added over the past year. It's technically like the full version of the game, which is not something that we had at launch on Xbox. But it's like, really, guys? Really? Like, we're gonna be tripping, we're gonna be tweaking over 4 points on Metacritic. Who cares? Who cares? Like, if you want to play it on Xbox, cool. It's a great game. If you want to play it on PlayStation, cool. It's a great day. Like, it affects my life zero. It doesn't affect me at all. And people are going so far as to say, like, well, now that Hi-Fi Rush, Sea of Thieves, they're on PlayStation 5, what's the reason to buy an Xbox? Xbox has no games. Y'all, I own a PlayStation 5, and I have to ask, what games are on PlayStation 5 right now? In the past 6 months, I've booted it up for 2 reasons and 2 reasons only. To play Helldivers, and before that, to play Spider-Man 2. Didn't boot it back up again until freaking Helldivers 2 came out. I will admit, there are good games on the PS5, but I don't think it's as crazy as people are hyping it up to be. Back in 2020, they had a strong launch lineup. Back in 2022, Xbox didn't have any huge games coming out. They had smaller games like As Dusk Falls and Pentiment coming out. And that was the same year that Horizon Forbidden West came out and God of War Ragnarok. Fast forward to 2024, like, what's going on? What's going on? Outside of Helldivers 2, what's going on? I'm kind of getting off the rails here, but ultimately, I just don't think that this is that big of a deal. I don't think Hi-Fi Rush being on PlayStation 5 is a super big deal. It doesn't affect my enjoyment of my Xbox console. I don't know how many different ways, how many different times I gotta say that, but I guess I'm in the minority, man. Speaking of stuff that is either a really big deal or is not at all, depending on who you ask, there's apparently a couple of annoying things going on with the Xbox version of Final Fantasy XIV. Now, I haven't played this game in forever, and I haven't played the Xbox version, but apparently there is an in-game currency that is specific to the Xbox version of this game. They're simply called Final Fantasy XIV coins. And people are like, what the hell? This is not something that is in the other versions of the game, I gotta buy it through the Microsoft Store, get the coins, and then spend it on the in-game menu stuff. Square Enix specified that all in-game payments will be handled using these coins, and that while playing on other platforms, additional payment methods will be offered. And on top of that, people are discovering that you need a Game Pass Core subscription in order to play this game. Now, the in-game currency thing, sure, I guess that can be annoying. It's not the first time I've seen that in an Xbox game, especially with MMOs. Elder Scrolls Online, you gotta go to the Microsoft Store and buy the currency that they have for that game, and then use that to buy cosmetics, mounts, stuff for your house, all that. Same thing with Halo Infinite 2, like it shows you the in-game currency, but when you click on it, it takes you to the Microsoft Store, then it takes you back, and then you can spend it on armor cores, new skins, whatever. So to me, that doesn't sound like a really big deal, unless there was like a huge difference in the pricing. I also don't think it's a big deal that you need Game Pass Core in order to play this game on Xbox. I think people are tripping up thinking that like, oh, Microsoft, Xbox are trying to force you to subscribe to Game Pass even if you don't want it. No, Game Pass Core is just what Xbox Live Gold used to be. And games that require Xbox Live Gold in order to play them online, that is not a new thing. The only reason why I think this would be such a big deal is that if the PlayStation version, you didn't need PlayStation Plus in order to play the game. And I just did my research. I literally just Googled it, and apparently that is the case. If you want to play Final Fantasy XIV on PlayStation 5 or PlayStation 4, you don't need a PS Plus subscription. Okay, so I'm getting it now. That is especially whack because I know that Final Fantasy XIV, even though I haven't played it for a long time, it is a subscription-based game, making it so that the Xbox version requires you to have 2 subscriptions in order to play the game. Okay, I'm starting to see the line. I'm starting to see the outrage here. Okay, I'm starting to get it. But if you already had Game Pass Core, this is a non-issue for you. If you did not, and you really want to play Final Fantasy XIV, I could see why you're mad. I get it. But enough talking about things that are outraging people, things that are making people mad in the gaming industry. And let's talk about something that's cool. A couple of videos ago, I talked about my controller that Xbox sent me. It's the new Fallout Design Lab controller. And I was like, dang, this is pretty cool. I wonder what else that they're gonna do. Well, apparently they're coming out with a special edition Fallout-themed console that is locked in an actual vault. It comes with that controller that I was just mentioning, and not only that, they throw in a matching Series X that has the same design on the faceplate of that controller. But that's not what's crazy about this Xbox. No, what's crazy about this Xbox is the literal vault that it comes in. This is like top 5 Xboxes ever made, man. I mean, this is just so cool. Unfortunately, again, you cannot buy this. It's part of a giveaway that Xbox is doing to promote the Fallout TV show that's going to be debuting on Amazon Prime. But it's like, I see the Xbox right there. If you're not going to sell the cool looking Vault thing, at least sell that Xbox. You already have people who are buying the Fallout themed controller from the Design Lab. Why not give them an Xbox to match that? But even though the vast majority of us won't be able to enjoy this cool looking special edition Xbox that comes in a sick ass Vault, we will be able to enjoy these upcoming games as part of our Game Pass subscription. That is right, Xbox has gone ahead and revealed the games that are going to be added in the second half of March and going into April. The list includes Lightyear Frontier, MLB The Show 2024. Oh my gosh, what reason will people have to buy a PlayStation console when they can just play MLB The Show 2024 on Xbox? I'm joking. We're also going to get The Quarry, Evil West, Terra Invicta, Diablo 4, Hot Wheels Unleashed 2, Open Roads, Ark Survival Ascended, F123, and Super Hot Mind Control Delete. Now, The Quarry is one of those games I've been meaning to play ever since it came out, honestly. If any of y'all played As Dusk Falls on Game Pass, it's very similar to that. It's like an interactive movie where your choices affect the story. I've been meaning to sit down and play this with my wife, and there's never been a better time to do it now that it's on Game Pass. It's super sick that Diablo 4 is finally joining the Game Pass library. This was like priority number 1 for me when Xbox announced or Microsoft announced that they were buying Activision Blizzard in the first place. I was like, oh my gosh, that's sick. We're gonna get Diablo on Game Pass. That was, I don't know, almost 2 years ago at this point, and it's finally happening. Although I will admit, I haven't played Diablo 4 in a long time, but I'm glad that it's gonna find a fresh audience in Game Pass. It's also interesting seeing Ark Survival Ascended. There's been a lot of talk about this game because, you know, obviously it's basically just Ark Survival Evolved, just for modern gen consoles. It's supposed to have like a graphical boost of some kind, and what people discovered is that it was pretty much just a buggy, unplayable mess. Which is hilarious considering that they've cut support for Ark Survival Evolved, meaning that if you want to play the current version of the game, you have to upgrade. And Ark Survival Ascended is not available on old gen consoles like the Xbox One or the PS4. So even if you have thousands and thousands of hours of Ark Survival Evolved on your Xbox One, it doesn't matter. If you want to keep playing the updated version, you gotta buy a Series X or an S and buy the game again, or play through Game Pass. Anyways, guys, that's all the Xbox stuff I have to talk about today. Thanks so much for joining me for another edition of Xbox Ready, and we'll see you in the next video.